Hello everyone. So first time recording. We're doing a Megamind. We're kind of just getting together and just have some exciting things we want to share with you. Um, so we're kind of looking to do like a conversation style, and see if there's anything that we can offer to share from our experiences, and hope you can learn something. For today, we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about running, but in general senses, training, consistency, and just some habits that we're learning about as we're going through training cycles. And recently, just finished up my first marathon, and just running with my friends, me and Matt. But yeah, anyway. We got the
Well,
conversation going. And Subash.
first of all, it's amazing that you guys did marathon and half marathon. I am not a runner, and when I did try to run, like I did a 4 miler, that was awful. So I think just kind of talk us through the experience, man. Because that must be a lot of work.
All right. I mean, Rainey ran the full thing. I only ran the half, but as far as me, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely more of like a weight training type of guy, weight training background. Honestly, Rainey's definitely inspired me to get into running. I always wanted to, right, he's my boy. So I was like, all right, yo, I'll one up you, Rainey. I'll run a race through every year. So last year I matched him with last year I matched him with the half up in
Yeah.
Concord, New Hampshire. And then this year he ran the full. I wasn't about to do that, but I was totally cool doing the half. So we ran it back with the half. Yeah, it gives you something to train for, having a race. I'm probably somebody who wouldn't run if I didn't have something to train for. So it was good in that aspect. And yeah, it's just races are super fun. It's a really good energy, good crowd, and then especially doing it with my friend, the Rain Man. So
The Rain Man.
Yeah.
Um, how so? Like, I kind of want to go back to the beginning, right? Uh, when you guys decided that you are going to do the race. What are the couple of things that you guys thought about to get this started? What was I know the end goal is to do the race, right? How did you prep yourself to do the prep work to create a training programs? And then how did you train? Was there things that you did or things that people helped? I know accountability was a big thing that Anthony you talked about on your Instagram post. And so
Yeah, I could say a little bit from this training cycle, but in general, um, running's been kind of a ongoing learning process. And I guess you could pick any starting point. I mean, I think everybody starts young. Well, like it's definitely a life scale, and it's cool to see how it develops into something of importance, or comes like a value. I think anytime we're moving, um, I don't know. It's cool. It's amazing to see like what movement does beyond just like the physical, um, and like how we can improve. But there's a lot to learn. Um, so I'll start at Springfield College. Um, so going to PT school, that was like the first time I had a break in running. Um, I say that was a training cycle just because I started to realize that point that I wanted to do like a half or a marathon. I mean, I think I did want to beforehand, but you just realize that there's people around you that are constantly teaching you something. So you could say a training cycle lasts you like 6 to 12 months. Probably 12 months is a little bit long for a training cycle, but um, any period of time that you're going through and learning something. So I might not always be running, and or you might not always be running the same kind of volume, but you learn things in life. You learn to supplement with rest, with training, with nutrition, and that kind of all plays a role in kind of um, yeah, performance, and other aspects. I mean, I think without the relationships and community around running, it wouldn't be the same. And definitely would not be the kind of goal that I don't know, it wouldn't be the same kind of goal to work towards and or be as satisfying having finished my first marathon. Like definitely gave it some meaning.
And that I mean, I feel like, dude, the thing what you said caught to me was like 6 to 12 months. That's how long you were training for this?
Um, well, yeah, I kind of like the actual like the training cycle for a marathon like began at the beginning of the summer, so June to November or May to November. So like 5 to 6 months. But it almost felt longer because there's like that prep cycle of all right, I gotta run I ran 5K. Okay, now I ran 10K. Now I ran a half marathon. And then just kind of building up to it and seeing like, oh wait, yeah, I can actually do it. And you don't need that, but like for racing and are just having the confidence to get out there, sometimes those small milestones are important.
Rainey's always training. Dude's been running since he came out of the womb. So come on now. No, for real, that guy's
No,
always running. Like he's like, when's the last time you took like more than 2 months off running, Rainey? Probably like never. Probably when you were like two.
Why would you do that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the training, this dude has always been aerobically trained. And yeah, that you said the official program didn't start till June, but he was running forever. Whereas me, I was a little different. Like I didn't run at all like last winter. Like, and I don't plan on running it. Like I enjoy taking time away from it because frankly, I have very minimal desire to run right now. Because again, I don't have that goal. I don't have a race coming up. So I'm a goal oriented person. If I have a goal, my training will reflect that, and I'll do what I need to do to get by or do okay enough. Um, so yeah, and like maybe I'll run a race next year, but I won't start training. Like I think this past race, I didn't start really running till probably like midsummer. And we had like a 5 mile race in like May, so I did run a little bit for
Yeah.
that. But yeah, so my training wasn't the same. I didn't have the same base that Anthony has. I also don't have the
wait,
same
so
goal he has.
this is your second time doing a half marathon.
Yes.
Uh, you haven't. So I think the thing that like caught up to me what Anthony was talking about, which I think kind of relates to it, what we do as a profession, right? Which is a progressive loading. Is that I mean, obviously, Anthony, you're like a freaking like goated out there running all the time. But even with your experience, you did like you were saying that you did 5K, 10K kind of prep yourself, and then
Hmm.
finally get into like official training. Matt, is that a very similar thing to like what you did as well?
No, I went full send with the half. I don't think I had ran a race
Love it.
ever before, to be honest.
Uh,
I just went full send. Hadn't, so I ran a little bit during COVID. I think I probably got up like everybody. I think I got up to maybe like, we ran to Rice's once, Rainy. That was maybe what, 6 or 7 miles. That was 2020. But I have a very, I just have a little bit of a running background, but nothing crazy. Yeah. And, yeah, I just set, that was the goal and I did it. Anthony actually outlined a program for me because I didn't really know what I was doing. A couple guys at work ran, so they helped me out too. You want a long and easy, and then a tempo day. It's like, oh, okay, that's helpful. And then we kind of went from there. And the goal was 13 miles. So, and the idea is, okay, if you can run 9 or 10 in your training, you're good. You're good to run the race.
okay. Yo, talk to me about this program, Anthony, because like I feel like you kind of went over it, right? And it seems like you also helped Matt the whole the training aspect of it, the nutrition aspect of it, the rest
Yeah.
aspect of it. Kind of give us an overview, like if say for example, you were trying to train me to
Hmm.
run a 10K, right? How would you get me off my ass, right? And because I don't run, like I play soccer, but I'm not gonna run.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta find something that motivates you. And like, um, yeah, for a running cycle, like not everybody's gonna be at the same point. So like you want to do 10K, you gotta start somewhere and probably need to start small. I mean, if you want to run, if you probably could run and or race a 5K and run the whole time. 10K like could be a little bit more challenging. And so like I think you're just kind of like thinking about where you're at with that. But yeah. for putting together a cycle, like Matt brought up the three main types of runs. You got your short run, you got your tempo run, and your long runs. And like they all have a, you can get really deep by like looking into like what are you training? Which would be cool. But like in broad, your tempos to give you your speed, and you're ultimately looking to see like how fast are you looking to go during like a race. So if you're constantly training, doesn't matter what distance you're going to race, be ready for it. So usually you'll train 5K pace, faster than 5K pace. If you're doing a marathon, probably throwing some like marathon pace. And they all look different, but it's like, all right, if you want to get into the weeds, like marathon pace is like a talking pace, not like a gas, because you got to sustain it for 2 hours. Does that make sense?
That's a very interesting way of putting it, man. Because like the way my mentality, okay, so this is what I did when I was like doing. I think I had like about like maybe 4 weeks to prep for like 4 mile, right?
Yeah.
What I did was like I pretty much my whole idea was if I can get to 4 mile, I don't care how long, I
Mhm.
can probably increase my speed,
Mhm.
right? So I went whole 4 miles. It sucked, right?
Mhm.
My feet were hurting and all this stuff, and and once I got there, like I was like, okay, I mean, it's not terrible. I could do it again. I could probably do it faster, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I went. But then I never used this long, easy day. I just kind of went and I was trying to get to this place, which I think
Yeah.
it's not a good
Yeah.
idea to do.
Right. If you only train speed, probably going to get to race day and you're not going to know how to apply it. So like think about like what's the functional like application of these workouts? Like you're doing like a speed workout to give you that like faster movement, but you get to race day if it's a you've been training for a 5K, but or like a 5K pace, but you're doing a 10K, you're gonna get halfway through the race and you're gonna be absolutely gassed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say like frequency is different. Like Rainy, what were you running? How many days a week were you running?
I used to like to run a lot. Like I used to like think 5 to 6 days a week was like what you need to do to run in order to
Holy
do like a
crap.
half or a marathon. But like that's totally changed for me because like actually even like Matt got me into strength and conditioning and like lifting weights. Um, yeah, and that's made a big difference because you can definitely run less. Um,
So what did you do
and
for this marathon? What was your frequency?
I started with like at the very beginning when my mileage was lower. Um, I lifted 3 days a week and I ran like 3 days a week, maybe four. The short days were short, so like I could fit in like a lift and a run. But
That's
as
it.
like yeah, I ran 4 days a week was like my max.
To prep
Okay.
for yeah, so you were doing a strength training and then like 4 days run to prep for a marathon.
Yep, yep.
That must have been different than so last year for the half, you were running like six, right? So that you've
Yeah, I
changed
was
your
running like
philosophy.
six, like 5 to 6 last year for the half.
Okay.
Yeah, what was the
Um,
change?
I mean, I got a coach who helped me to stick to consistency to like a training plan. Beforehand, I would try to be like, all right, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna do like a generic program off the internet, which is great because it gives you a good starting point. Um, but like it also didn't give me like I didn't know how to apply lifting and running in the same program effectively. Um, so having a coach to oversee that aspect helped me to see like, okay, I'm actually making gains in the gym, but I'm actually also making gains when I'm doing my running. And the running is the first thing. Like that's the running is the primary reason that I'm lifting. So I'll do my usually I'll run first, lift second, that kind of idea. I know that's kind of like getting into the weeds, but
So you're not lifting just to get a big bench, bro?
but it is nice to
You get
bench.
massive guns? Yeah, I mean, so my point of of bringing up the frequency is, well, and I guess I was a little wrong for this year. I didn't realize Rainey was training less frequently. But I know last year he was like frequency is king. He wants to do 5 or 6 days. And when he was writing the program, he assumed I want to do that. I'm like, nah, dude, I want the minimum effective dose. I'm running 3 days is my max because I still want to lift weights. I don't really want to do a both lift and a run in the same day just for like time issues. And like, in the summer it was hot. So I wasn't running till like, late at night or really early in the morning. Um, but I'm somebody who, again, my enjoyment with running isn't huge. So I want to run 3 days a week. Again, our goals are different. That guy's
Yeah.
crushing. Rainey, share your time, bro, on the marathon.
Uh, I was, I mean, I would have been happy with like a 3:30 like a year ago. But because of training and kind of just seeing that where my base was starting and where I could get to by the end of the training cycle, it felt easy because it just prepped for it. So by the race time, I was able to do like a 7:05 pace, or which translated to like a 3:07, which
Yeah.
I was happy with.
So dude's
That's
fast. Whereas
incredible.
my goals are
Yeah.
like, I just wanted to finish the race. I think my split came to like a 9 minute mile for
Yeah.
the half marathon, which was just under 2 hours.
Matt, you kind of brought it up. Minimal dose, right? What'd you say? A minimal effective dose
Minimum
to
effective dose, brother.
dose. Talk to me about that, bro. Because like I feel like, we talk about like I feel like this is like a different shift of training, right? Like because it used to be like, like for example, I guess the example of gym would be like, yo, you bulk up and then you lean, right? Or something like that. And you're like, you kind of like, go at it ham, right? You just go at it heavily. But nowadays I kind of read it like a paper while it's talking about like more about like a maintenance, right? Trying to I don't know if that's like a very similar like a concept, but like what
Yeah. I think I can speak to it better for like lifting than running. I think maybe Anthony can speak to it better for running. I mean, my intent with that comment was like, I don't want to, again, my goals with running, I don't really identify too hard as a runner, so I don't care what my time was. But yeah, I mean, with lifting at this point, right, I think training age is a massive factor for me. I mean, I've been lifting weights I started in high school, so I'd say seriously since probably, yeah, but since like probably senior year of high school, maybe even before that. So what is that? That's like 8, 9 years. So like for me, the minimum effective dose, I mean, I don't know what the exact sets, reps, volume would look like, but it's in order to maintain the current muscle mass that I have, it's not much. I mean, I could probably get in the gym 2 days a week, hit some compound movements, and maintain a pretty good physique that I'm happy with. To make gains, to improve, it is tougher for people who are very well trained. But just to maintain, it's not much work. And Anthony, I would assume the same idea counts for running, right? If you just want to maintain where your current fitness level is, it's not going to be much.
Yeah. Um, I mean, you can use a lot of data. I mean, if you're got like a running watch, like you can kind of track your general volume and or load. Like my watch literally tells me what my monthly to weekly load is, um, which is cool. And then it tells you like what you're training, like what your VO2 max is, which is just like another marker of like your like aerobic fitness. But yeah, like a minimal effective dose for running goes back to like having your specific workouts for like your short days, your tempo days, your long runs, and then just kind of gradually building them up over time. If you're running into issues with like um, pain and or like affect something that's affecting your running, or you're losing motivation, getting burnt out in the program, you're likely um, maybe overshooting one of those three categories for short, um, tempo, or long. And yeah, I mean, if you do it effect over time gradually, like I think it can be something that can be done. Like everybody can do it, and to a capacity. We're trying to lower the goal and a lot of other like determinants, but like using that idea.
I that's cool. Like I have a question about rest and recovery, man, and nutrition. Yeah. I feel like that's like that's one of the big topic that is often not talked about, right? 'Cause like, you know, at the whenever someone's making a program or something like that, it's all about like action, action, actions, right? Not necessarily about like the rest, or like not necessarily what happens outside of it. Like how did you both, Matt and Anthony, like how did you guys like handle that? Because I know Matt, you've talked about like injury too a little bit, like you know you were dealing with like hamstring injuries and stuff like that while you were training for this. So
Yeah, I mean, I can. Do you want me to wait on detailing the whole training with
yeah,
injuries?
like
I can touch on recovery. I
yeah.
mean, so I'm somebody who I value sleep. I try to get sleep. I do struggle with sleep quality. So for me, recovery is an issue. This idea of like auto regulation, where it's important to consider that. And okay, I slept like shit last night. Can I swear?
Yeah,
I didn't
I think
sleep
so,
well last
man.
night. I slept 5 hours. A good coach would, okay, we're gonna drop midi volume or something. For me, I do struggle with sleep most nights, so I don't really play by that rule. But for me, obviously, I'm locking in on nutrition for me, right? So I don't track my calories, but as far as protein, I adhere to the idea of aiming for around 1 gram of protein per pound body weight. That's actually, I just shot a post by Jeff Nippard that says you can go down to 0.7 grams of protein per pound body weight. Doesn't really matter. So that's why I say shoot for a close to a pound, a gram per pound, but I don't really get that. And if I'm short, that's totally fine. And yeah, I mean, I think my diet's good. You know, carbs, protein, fats, the macros, man. That's again, I don't track, but I'm able to maintain a weight, which indicates that I'm eating a good amount for me.
But so I know that like you know they say that if you're going for a run, right, doing something heavy or in a long run and things like that, right? They say heavily load yourself in the carbs. Is that what you did, Anthony? Like, or you guys both like?
Yeah, but I don't really have much experience with that. Like, I would love to say like more to it, but I was just told by my teammates that I needed to eat more carbs, and I could totally understand that because I've had runs where you eat too much fiber the day before and you just do not have fun. So yeah, what you fuel your body with before the race is gonna will have an effect. If you're dehydrated, it's gonna affect you. If you're have too much, yeah. Carbs is easier to digest and easier for your body to use during a hard effort. So yeah, that was just the idea of that.
Were you like Matt's kind of like at some point like you said adrenaline kind of take let the adrenaline take over. You know, I know that like you've said that before that mindset took over. But are you very similar? Are you like kind of preparing like okay day before I gotta get these things or like you know I gotta get this many hours of rest. You know, wake up and then you know do things to prep myself together so that I could have a successful race.
Yeah. I do like routines. Matt could definitely attest to that. Like on race day,
Yeah, bro
um,
got there like 2 hours early when it was like 20 degrees. I'm freezing my ass off. I'm like, I don't want to run before this dude runs 26 miles and he's going to run before he runs 26. That's crazy to me. The
Wait,
first
you ran
four
before
miles, no, the
mile?
warm up.
Holy
and like
crap.
it was less than a mile. It was less than a mile. And to be honest, I don't know. Yeah, it did seem kind of weird. It was like I'm gonna be running 26 miles. I'm gonna have time to warm up during this race. So like, um, I don't know. I don't know if it was actually effective. If it was a shorter race, you do want to warm up. But like the marathon, I was like, all right. I did a warm up and then I didn't do a cool down at the end. I went to get brunch with Matt and the bros and crashed some food. That was my cool down.
That's the best cooldown.
Yo, let me kind of going off topic though, right? Like warm up and cool down, right?
Yeah.
How important would you say? And like even I guess going back to the minimal effective dose on this too, like how would you effectively do this?
Um, I'll give a quick input and then you want to say something, Matt?
Yeah, I can touch on it.
Because I think that'd be cool. I'd love to hear your perspective for warm up and cool down too. Um, I listened to a cool documentary from Clayton Young, who's one of the United States like Olympic marathoners, and he termed it uh, and I've heard it before, but instead of like warm up, it's your activation. So like I could go into a run on most days and like not go through like a full set of like stretches, but I think it is helpful because like prepping your body mentally and also kind of going through the motions, kind of like gradually exposing you to like things you're not doing regularly. Um, so the warm up, um, yeah, usually some running, get the blood flow going, and then I think it's more important for like a workout versus a race. Oh, no, a race is very important, but I'm just like thinking in general, having consistency with your if you're doing a short run, a long run, or a tempo run, you should have the warm up should be the same for each of those. Um, but yeah, you need to I don't know how to explain it, but it's definitely important. Like you're priming your body.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the gym, there's a lot of right. There's a lot of people out there saying you need to stretch for X amount of minutes and foam roll for whatever minutes. If you want to do that, that's fine. But like, I don't think we have evidence to say that like that's better than some bro who just he wants to squat. Bro just goes to the squat rack. He does the bar. He does 135. He does 225, and then boom, boom, boom. That's probably okay too. I'm somebody who I like to stimulate a little bit, stimulate the body, stimulate the system, we call it. So like honestly, a good way to get your plyometrics in people are to use plyometrics as your warm up. So say you're squatting, go around and jump for 2, 3 minutes. Like you'll get blood flow, you'll get your heart rate up, and you'll actually train plyometrics. So that's a sneaky way to sneak in some plyos. I'm a big treadmill guy, so I'll walk a little bit before or something like that. As far as running, I didn't my running I view running as the warm up for me. Again, my goal is very different than Anthony. He's much more performance based. Um, I will say for tempo days, I did need to warm up. I'm not going to go out there and start crushing for me, a fairly fast tempo. The first 5 minutes are just very slow bodybuilder pace, and then after 5 minutes or so, I'll start hitting more speed. Speed in quotes because it's not that fast.
Um, I guess the way I've always imagined, like, like are you saying, Matt, like I don't really spend time stretching. Like yesterday I was benching a little bit, and I haven't benched heavy in a long time. And I was like, this was for my class. And so we were just kind of doing it. And then my coach, I guess the other coach that and I were just kind of doing it. And so it was like, you know what, let's just go at it. And so we kind of warmed up with the bench. And then I think the mentality was there, right? So I was able to like hit like 205, which is not a lot, but like it's still like, something, right? And
Don't
so
sleep on that.
I mean, like it's good amount of weight, but like
Yeah.
like I guess the mentality was just like, okay, let's get to it, and I'm like psychologically ready, and I kind of prepped with the action in itself, which is what it seems like what you guys are talking about too.
Yeah, I'll just add on that because yeah, it's basically something that's reflexive. It's
Yeah.
as simple as digging instead of digging into the weeds, are like, all right, we need to stretch our quad, we need to stretch our hamstring, we need to stretch our calves. Like those are great things if you're moving your body like already, but like for any activity for lifting or you're running, you're getting your fight or flight going versus your rest and digest. It's just getting those like nervous systems activated, those reflexes. I don't care if you're I don't know evidence-based practice. I don't care if you like to foam roll and that helps you get your mind in the right spot, do it. Um, but yeah, plyometrics, skipping, uh, doing some like bear crawls, anything like just move before get yourself ready for the activity.
Um, so I want to talk one more thing about like I was kind of want to talk about injury a little bit because I know we as a physical therapist tend to be very proactive, no, reactive, like a reactive approach, right? Because people usually come to us with a injury and we treat them. Um, I know Matt, you've been dealing with some injury. Uh, you want to talk touch about that, like how you've been managing those?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say pain, not injury. There wasn't like an acute injury. Definitely some tissue sensitivity for sure. Yeah, so it's been going on since like May. I would do these heavy kickstand RDLs, so heavy in quotes again. Kickstand RDLs. So the way my work schedule worked is I would have to train later one day, and then I'd have to come back the next morning and train early because I would go to work in the afternoon. Then the next morning I would hit some sprints. And as I said, my recovery has been great because of sleep issues. So that probably in combination with just a short time was my body wasn't necessarily prepared to sprint the next morning. So after a few weeks of that, I started to develop some pain in my ass, right? So proximal hamstring tendinopathy, you have pain right on your sit bone, right on the cheek there. So not fun. So I eventually stopped sprinting because I probably shouldn't be sprinting right now because that's pissing it off. It calmed down. It allowed me to run our race in May. And I was like, oh, I'm good. And then it started came back. I don't know exactly when, maybe like July, August or so when I started training for the half. Yeah, and it's been really aggravated since, pretty pissed. Running was totally the trigger. The main thing was sitting on my car ride to work or anything. Oh my God, we went to Portland. Any long car rides sucked. It was brutal. As far as how I managed it, probably not the best because the best thing may have been to like ramp down mileage and say, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll run another race to get this hamstring right. That would have been like probably my recommendation to a patient, but for me, I that was a goal that was important to me. I chose to accept that I was going to hurt a little on that. I accepted that car rides were going to suck for 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
And I did push through, but I did modify. So I like, I did more like run walks. I kind of eliminated hills, running uphill because that's going to stretch the hamstring a little bit more. Um, I was running very slow, like a sloth, very sloth-like pace. And yeah, ultimately mileage was down. My mileage wasn't where I'd wanted it to for a training purpose, but from a rehab purpose, I should have dropped mileage. So yeah, it was just kind of this fine line of like trying to do barely enough that I could run the race. Like honestly, when I was running the race, I didn't know how it was going to go. I'm very pleased and happy I was able to run a fairly hard course, according to Anthony, in under 2 hours.
You
I was
did. What was
and
the
my
time?
hamstring felt horrible the next day, right? It felt horrible, but here we are a week later. It's okay now. It's back to its it's back to its baseline.
What was your time?
158.
158. And you had this going on, and then you trained with this.
Yeah, I mean, it had been going on for months. Yep, chronic
Uh,
issue.
I
Hey,
don't know,
guys,
Anthony. You
at
got
158. I'm hyped,
yeah,
man.
Well,
I'll
again,
say
right?
that.
Adrenaline. I didn't really
yeah,
feel much pain during the race. It was mostly after, right? Humans
yeah,
have that, man. We're good at meeting a task that we need slash want to do.
yeah.
So it's
I
pretty
pro
cool.
I
Humans are
pro
dope,
probably gonna
dude.
call it quits. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add. I feel like that was a pretty good discussion
Yeah.
for our first post.
Yeah, I love
So
that.
you gonna run a race with us next year?
That's a good question, man. Uh, I don't know, dude. I hate running, first of all. I can't I just don't like running. It's just like the whole idea of like running with I mean obviously the purpose is to get there, but the time in between is what gets me, right? There's like my mind's like the way my mind works is like I need stimulation, right? I need stimulations and I guess running technically is stimulations because you're looking things over here, but like it doesn't really work. It only gets to a certain point. Like for example, like when I'm playing soccer, right? Like I'll be huffing and puffing. Like so on Sundays, like I play like there's this thing called like old man soccer. It's a bunch of old man ex players. Like there are people that are from like 40s to like 60, 70 years old that comes to play. Amazing players. Like they got good touches, good passes. Like they can dribble past you, right? Like but can't do context. But like I'm there huffing and puffing. But like throughout this entire time, I'm like my goal is like obviously I want to play positional thing, right? I want to get to a positions where I need to intercept the ball, and then once I get the ball, if I have the ball, then I'm looking for like okay, who am I gonna pass? What am I gonna get the best, like pass? So that's running in my head, and that distracts me from like being I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but like it distracts me. Even though when I'm tired, like exhausted, I know that if my teammates like has the ball and they're looking for a long pass, like I'm gonna make that sprint, like because my mind has told me that I gotta go do that, and so like I'll do it. I don't know if that makes sense. That was a long answer of like I don't like running.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes no, I it totally makes sense. I will say, man, do you think there's any ways you could make running more enjoyable? Do you have any ideas? I have a couple if you don't.
I don't, dude. I truly do not have any ways I can make running enjoyable. Cause I Megan
What if
loves
you did it
running.
with Meg?
Meg loves running. Okay. I I hold her back. Like it's literally so because she did the last year Thanksgiving race, like it was this year, this time, right? Like literally she was like pretty much like slowing down so that I could kind of catch up with them. But the adrenaline thing that you talked about, like I remember Matt, like mile 3, when mile 3 hit, I was flying, dude. That was probably my fastest like pace like I did because dude, I was slow as fuck. All right. I'm gonna bleep that out, but like I was so slow, dude. Like, but like I was running like 11:30, right? 11:30 mile because I'm slow, right? And then as soon as like mile 10, I was tracking it. I think I did it like 9 something because I was just like on my zone. I was like,
Yeah, dude, it's sick.
yeah, yeah. So, but I
Well, I
don't
was
know,
just gonna
dude.
say, I mean, I think socially, right, running clubs are huge right now. They're so hot, right? They're the thing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is right. A social aspect, of course. That's one way to make it more enjoyable. Um, Another would be, right, the more you do something, the better you get at it, the better we are at something, we're going to like it a little bit more or hate it a
Right.
little less, perhaps. So the
I
less you
think,
kind of huffing and puffing, you'll like it maybe a little bit
yeah.
more.
I
I
Um,
think
definitely think that like difficulties, like, because it's a difficult to enter into this wrong, right? And so that could be big demotivators to run. I don't know what you think.
there's a lot of things that can like make running less motivating, and I think like sometimes figuring out what those expectations are. So like Subash, like I think we could find you an entry point and you could find a race and or run a distance that was enjoyable for you. Like if it was a 5K, I know that was hard, but like I don't know. Like I think setting the expectations of like running a certain pace makes it challenging. But like if you go in, I think a little bit of training is helpful so you can understand how your body reacts.
Mhm.
Um, but like go in so you're running and feeling strong. And like that'd be the ultimate goal. Um, I don't know. That's so interesting. I have a couple other things I like to say
I
about your
I think
topic.
I think it would be like how we were talking about like doing a program for like some of the followers that's gonna like follow us, like like doing helping
Mhm.
them kind of get. I think this would be a cool experience to getting me to run a race,
Yeah.
like kind of creating me a program to kind of. I think the biggest challenge that like it comes with it is like time constraint, how to manage time management, right? How to do rest recovery while trying to fit everything. So I think I'm gonna take you guys on that. Like, if you guys create me something like that, like I'll probably try it. And we can figure it out. Because like that would be a goal to enter, Like, and I think like, and then, Matt, you're saying like you're goal oriented person. I could be a goal oriented if there was a purpose, if I don't see a purpose to be goal oriented, like I don't really do it. And so like in this, I guess this purpose could be
yeah,
anything.
yeah, yeah. That's another good way.
Yeah. Um
And me and Matt will stay on the call after, so that we'll set up your program for the start tomorrow.
yeah.
Okay.
Um good one. You guys have anything else to add? Like I'll if not, I'll stop recording. Today we talked about, Anthony and Matt's experience of running a marathon and a half marathon, their training progressions, their how they prepared themselves for this whole, I guess, what was it, like 6 to 12 months of you guys doing this, going through some possible kind of like acute injuries, right? And how managing throughout this entire process. Thanks for watching.